I was born in former Yugoslavia in the 80s, in Skopje, actually. My parents moved when I was a baby to what is now known as Serbia. Loads of fields and little mountains and loads of sort of animals, farmers. How can I describe it? It's like the world that we should all know, really, because it's quite peaceful and authentic. Not many people are lucky enough to have that kind of childhood that I had. We were very poor, but we were rich in love and respect. My dad was a doctor and my mom professor of languages. So I grew up with two people that were doing everything possible to add value to others. This one day, my dad and I were having a chat. He said, "Loretta, what do you wish to become when you grow older?" And I didn't hesitate. I just said, "Oh, Dad, I'd like to be a doctor just like you." And he said, "But why? Why a doctor?" I said, "Because like you, I want to help people." And I remember this big, deep sigh. He said, "Loretta, if helping people is what you want, you don't have to be a doctor and become a doctor. It's not the only way. You can find a way to help people." And I was like, God, my dad doesn't believe in me. This is just, I'm doing so well at school. Why my dad doesn't believe in me? But it wasn't him not believing in me. It was the fact that he was seeing the bigger picture and the troubles that were about to hit us. My whole country as Yugoslavia was splitting up, and it really started quite early on in the 80s. But I was so young, I don't fully remember everything. But growing up towards the age of like 11 and so on, when you become a bit more aware of your surroundings and troubles or unrest, I think for me that's when it really became scary, watching on my black and white TV what was happening in Bosnia, like the war with Serbia. So, because let's just paint a picture. Yugoslavia had so many different states. It had Slovenia, it had Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Kosovo, Northern Macedonia. And so Slovenia split up first. They split up with any worries, which was great. And then when Croatia decided to do the same, Serbia turned up the heat with Croatia. So they went to war. That got really messy. And Croatia and Bosnia are on the border with each other. So then Serbia turned the heat up on Bosnia and killed the Muslims and massacred. I mean, it was a huge massacres that have been televised all over the news across the world. And from then on, we knew that, okay, well, this war is it's a civil war and it's just getting worse. The Serbian army was targeting us as a Serbian village, because the majority of the people in our village, if not all, spoke Albanian and they were Muslims. They practiced Muslim religion. One evening, when the troubles really completely threw our world upside down, we got taken out of our houses to be marched into this sort of, I say, fold or crease of the mountains. Imagine the mountains sort of, and then, you go through, and then as you go into the mountain, just surprisingly, it opens up into this field amongst all these mountains. It's still there. We weren't sure what was happening. We just thought we were being marched into the mountains, maybe sent into Kosovo and just sort of cleared away from the area. But we were so wrong. And when we reached into the road from our house, there was loads of people walking the same direction, the elderly, the children, babies crying. And it was really frightening because you could hear the soldiers shouting and screaming, the footsteps of people, and the noise that the crowd makes, and the coughing and the crying and the whinginess, and because there was children, obviously, the pregnant women. And it was chilly, it was cold. And I just remember clinging on to my mum for dear life. And as we walk up towards the mountain, and my dad decided to search for his brother, and his brother was waiting actually at the gate, and we reunited and we walked together, and they were whispering, but we weren't even allowed to whisper to each other. It was like, everybody keep quiet. Once we reached there, the soldiers were sort of guarding us all around and marching orders, all in Serbian. My uncle is saying to my dad, look, I need to go negotiate. And my dad is saying, brother, just stay put. Like, be quiet for once. And so he approached one of the soldiers not far from us. And in Serbian, he said, look, he said, I don't know what your intentions are. And he said, well, whatever it is, like, what do you mean my intentions are? We're going to kill you all. We're going to do the biggest massacre that's ever been, bigger than the ones in Bosnia. We could hear all of this, and people started panicking and screaming, and I'm like, oh my God, we are dying. So all of a sudden, everybody's talking, oh my God, they're here to shoot us, and the panic was raising. I just remember my whole body going cold because we were about to die. My uncle, he realized they were about to kill us. We all realized we were about to die. And he decided to negotiate with the soldiers. And I was just hearing this. He was saying, look, if you do this massacre, you will be hunted down like they have done, and they will not leave you guys alone. So why don't you just spare the town? What have they done to you? I'll give you so much wealth, you can run away. When my uncle said, I have a lot of wealth, he said, oh yeah, let's see it. He's like, fine, let's go to my house. And uncle turned around and said to us, I'm just going to show them how much wealth I have. I'm trying to save the town. He bribed them. My mom volunteered to go with him. And she's my best friend. It's all I have. And I know my dad is there, and my aunt, my uncle's wife, and, everyone is there, the rest of the family. But it's like my mom. It's like, Mom, don't leave me. We were treated like prisoners, really, like, marched to be killed and then just left uncertain. Time went on and it was getting cold, and my dad said, well, we have to make a move and just see, maybe they've killed uncle and your mum, but we need to go and discover what had happened. So we slowly, sheepishly started moving towards the town again, the village. And we walked. I couldn't wait to get to my uncle's house just to see, is mum really dead and my uncle, or are they still alive? We reached eventually, only to find my uncle and my mum both crying. They're holding their heads literally on their hands and thinking that the whole entire village has been killed anyway, regardless of my uncle's wealth that was, given to the soldiers to bribe for exchange to save the town. When we walked in, they were so happy to see us, and they started crying even more. I was so puzzled what I witnessed in my uncle's garden. There was so many holes, and when I say holes, like big holes that had been opened up. And I didn't know, it looked like a graveyard that has been opened. And I'm looking, and we were like careful where we're stepping because loads of different holes. And I'm looking, and I'm just listening to the conversation with my dad and my uncle. And my dad said, what the heck is going on? He said, that's where I kept my wealth. He had gold, he had cash, everything he had, he was holding it all underground. Yeah, that was quite significant for me because it was pretty much my uncle's last days. And then he passed away, just naturally passed away. I think the stress, or I don't know what happened really to him, but my uncle's passing came a real shock to everyone. He was the hero. He saved us. After that, it was never the same for us again. Our soldiers, the Serbian soldiers, decided to torment us, and they were raping and destroying, and it was just complete nightmare. My dad had been in the village. He came back home in panic. It's like, Loretta, get your bag. And we didn't have much. So for me, it was like one pair of trousers and off I go. And a couple of T-shirts or whatever I had. And my mum got my bag ready, and she's like, what's going on? He said, we need to escape. Loretta needs to escape because the soldiers are raping and tormenting women, young women. So I can't watch that. I said, Mum, you come with me, because I don't know where I'm going. My dad said, you'll be fine. If you cross the mountain, this mountain that we live, the house and then the mountain that we had near us, it would lead you immediately into Kosovo if you just follow the right path. When I reached the other side, immediately as I came down the mountain, there was quite of a main road that was coming from other villages within Kosovo. I saw this bus and I waved him down. After a long travel on different buses, I managed to reach Pristina. And once I reached Pristina, which is the capital of Kosovo now, it was almost dark and like after hours, curfew hours. So you're not really supposed to be on the streets. It was police hours. So I walked around because I didn't know where I was going. I ended up landing at this bar because I heard noise. And I thought, okay, well, there is life here because nobody's on the streets. So I was a bit frightened because it's like, what's going on? Nobody's on the streets. Am I in the wrong place? But when I heard this noise at the bar, I decided to go and open the door. And I looked around and it was literally everyone in there was from United Nations, different uniforms, different color, navy blue with blue helmets, and then the army. I was instantly under the impression that uniform meant danger because of what I've just witnessed. I decided to walk in. I was desperate to have a glass of water. I was so thirsty. I went to the barman and I said, could I have a glass of water? And he gave me, and he's like, what are you doing on the streets? You know, he was very puzzled to see me. He knew like something wasn't right, but he gave me the glass of water and then he didn't make anything of it. I decided to sit right at the front of the door, just duck down, and I started crying. I was really unsure what to do next. I was lost. Seconds later, the door opens and I just raised my eyes to look because I was ducked down, and I see this two strong, what I now know as police officers served for UN, Peter and Brian, with a translator. And I looked at them and I'm thinking, okay, so like what the heck is going to happen next? You know, I was really worried. And they're speaking in English. I couldn't understand a word that was saying. And the translator is saying, they are asking, what are you doing on the streets? I said, well, I'm from Serbia and I need shelter. I need to go to the Red Cross. Peter and Brian decides to give me shelter. I was really hesitant to go with them because I didn't speak the language. I didn't know them and they were not my nation. And not that my nation was good at that point. They were tormenting us. But it's one of those things. If I can't trust my nation, how can I trust other nations? You know, that this kind of debate in my head. But because I had nowhere to go, because of the desperation that I needed shelter, I was cold, I was frightened, and they seemed so nice. I thought, what's the worst that could happen, you know?
And how old were you at this time?
I was turning 18, I believe, because I escaped around late on my 17, so turning almost 18. We created the most unlikely friendship. And I will cherish that time with us so much because they were godsend. I needed them. I needed them so much. And I'm forever grateful what they did. They literally risked their own position with the UN to have a civilian living under their roof, being cared for. Not only did they care for me, they never kept me as a secret. They told their boss, their commander, they all agreed to keep me safe. They understood the danger that I was in. So they introduced me to the entire UN. I was there for quite some time. And one day I became too comfortable. I thought if I just grab a magazine or a newspaper, it would be such a good idea for me to try and read something in my spare time when they were at work. Because when I didn't do anything, I was going a bit crazy and worried and panic attacks and thinking, are they still alive? Is mom and dad still alive? So in order to distract myself, I thought if I read a magazine or a newspaper, I'll be okay, you know. And so left the door open of the apartment and I thought, I'm just going to get a magazine. As I walked onto the road, on the pavement, this van, black van, it just skids in front of my legs, so in front of me, literally blocked my path. Some guys came out of the van and they put this thing over my head. It was a black thing, but I don't know what it was. It's like a hood, like a sack per se. I didn't have time. It was just such a quick movement that I didn't have time to process it. And they grabbed me and they shoved me into the van. It just literally threw me on the floor of the van. They're calling me every name under the sun. And I'm lying there, obviously with a thing over my head. And I'm thinking, am I having a nightmare? Can I wake myself up? I wanted to wake up so much because I thought it was a nightmare. This is not happening. It can't be. It's weird. It's unusual. And when you have nightmares, you sort of can wake yourself up. I don't know if anyone has ever had this experience, but I still do, and I can wake myself up. And that's what I wanted to do, wake up. But I was awake. It was happening, and it was happening fast. They pulled me out, still can't see anything. My feet are dragging behind, and they literally yanked me through my armpits. And I'm just being dragged, pulled into this building. I could just hear doors slamming, and I was really frightened. I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? When they took off my hoodie, down aside from me, away from me in this room, it was this man that was waiting for me. So here I am on my knees, this thing is off my head, and I'm looking, and I'm looking at everyone, and I'm very confused. And this boss guy, he started moving towards me with a crutch. He said, "Oh, she's the one." And I'm thinking, I'm the one? Like, who am I? Like, how come everybody knows me? What do you mean I'm the one? How can I be the one for what? He says, "She's the one then, right, okay." He said, "Boys, flip her over and rape her." He just gives the order. So I've gone from my knees, being on my knees, trembling, to literally I'm flipped on my back now, pinned down to the floor like a starfish, completely opened up. They were holding me down. And they started ripping off all my clothes. I think I couldn't breathe. I was so frightened, and they were so vicious and so aggressive towards me. The boss was still coming towards me, and I could hear him just sort of approaching, his voice. I'm looking at the ceiling and I'm crying, I'm screaming. And he wanted to see the rape.